أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Well, this is a lesson about figures of speech in English language. As you know, poetry cannot go without these figures of speech. These figurative words make poetry very embellished and beautiful. And even these figures of speech help us to understand the real thought of the poet, what a poet wants to say. Let's talk about poetry before we move to the figures of speech. That's an essential element or constituent so far poetry is concerned. Well, poetry has been defined by people in different ways. There is Wordsworthian definition of poetry. There is Keatsian, definition of poetry, and even there are others that they have defined poetry according to their own way. But most preferable definition of poetry is Wordsworthian. This Wordsworth has defined poetry, and that has lost an indelible, impression on the minds of critics. And we'll be talking about Keatsian point of view about poetry as well. But what we will try to know about, poetry according to Wordsworthian definition. Well, according to Wordsworth, poetry is spontaneous. Spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings recollected and tranquility. Spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings means Wordsworth says poetry is actually a spontaneous, a continuous. It's a gush of feelings. It's not something that they come today and they get stopped somewhere. It's something a thought that has spontaneity, that has continuity, that flows like the water. And this thought has a kind of coherence. A thought has a kind of adherence. It doesn't go into parts. It doesn't go into pieces. Means it conveys some idea. And that's what he says. Poetry is spontaneous, overflow. It's not something flowing slowly, sluggishly, but it's flowing with complete fluence and powerful feelings. The word powerful is very important. Powerful feelings means these are not ordinary feelings. They may be divine feelings as well. Feelings, a poet is a person who actually, according to Wordsworth, a poet is a person who actually civilizes the world, who actually civilizes his society. This is, according to Wordsworth, these feelings, what he tries to say means a poet is actually a prophet. A prophet has a duty and assignment to socialize, to set a society in its right tone. Similarly, he calls a poet a prophet because a poet actually warns sometimes his nation, warns sometimes his society, warns sometimes his people. And similarly, this powerful feeling, when I call powerful feeling, and when he says powerful feeling, it means it's not an ordinary, it's not a mundane, it's not a humdrum, it's not a commonplace thing. It's something special, something that needs to be inculcated, something that needs to be put in mind, something that needs to be propagated. That's what he wants to say. and recollect it. It's not something every day you can recollect these feelings. These feelings cannot be recollected in every routine of time and every day. It's not something like that. It is something a poet imagines and then a poet creates, as biography literaria by Coleridge. He says that there is primary imagination, there is fancy, then there is secondary imagination, and it involves the will of the poet to make it colorful, to make it imaginative. Whatever he remembers from around him, then he tries to add something more. Then it becomes a kind of fantasy, it becomes a kind of imaginary world. And that world, when once again her listen or experience, becomes something poetic. That is what he wants to say. So in tranquility, and another word that's an important thing, tranquility means a peaceful environment. It may be when there is no such hustle and bustle, when there is no such rush, when there is no something, there's a common disturbance. It's something a poet goes somewhere in a green field or in a landscape or somewhere in an isolation, where he actually tries to recollect. He remembers his feelings and then adds more in complete solitude, in complete isolation. This is what Wordsworthian concept of poetry is. And another romantic poet is Keats. John Keats. John Keats क्या बोलता है? John Keats says, if poetry does not come, this is a bit relevant to Wordsworthian concept of poetry, when he says spontaneous overflow. When he says spontaneous overflow, and Keats in a similar way says, if poetry does not come like the leaves of a tree, it's not poetry at all. It has no right to be called poetry if it doesn't come like the leaves of a tree. As we know, leaves around us, trees around us, when leaves sprout, when leaves come out from the trees, they don't come one by one, they burst out at the same time. But they grow a bit slowly, but they burst out, they sprout, and they come out abruptly. Similarly, he says these spontaneous feelings, and Keatsian point of view, when he says that poetry should come like the leaves of a tree. If it doesn't come like that, then it's not poetry at all. Means, again, he says, he supports Wordsworthian concept of poetry when he says it's a kind of spontaneous overflow of feelings. And similarly, Keatsian point of view, when if it doesn't come like the leaves of a tree, means if it doesn't come spontaneously, then it's not poetry at all. Okay? Actually, we're talking about the poetic devices, or the figures of speech that are important when we actually try to read poetry, when we actually try to understand poetry, to recognize the thought of a poet. We need to understand the poetic devices that are important things that actually help critics to get marrow out of the bone. Okay, let's move to the very first. It may take time, it may take 2 or 3 lectures, but inshallah, by the way, we'll be able to make it. So the first figure of speech that's commonly talked about is simile. Simile. Well, if it's not visible, I'll just bring the camera. There's something wrong with this. Its quality is not getting it. Okay, if I write things on the board, this writing gets inversely seen in the camera. So it's a technical fault. I'll be reading like calmly as I read. So I'll be getting it. Simile is a figure of speech which is a comparison, in which a comparison is made between 2 things. बाय द वर्ड लाइक और एज। ये सिमिली क्या होती है? एक्चुअली लफ्ज सिमिली दूर से पता चलता है, सिमिली सिमिलरिटी, लफ्ज कुछ सिमिलरिटी जैसा है, मतलब सेमनेस, यानी दो चीजें अगर देखें हम, तो दो चीजों में क्या चीज कॉमन है, क्या चीज सेम है, क्या चीज एक जैसा है, तो उस जब उनको मिलाया जाता है तो इस टेक्निक को पोइट्री में सिमिली कहते हैं। सिमिलरली सिमिली, सिमिली मैंने कहा इज अ फिगर ऑफ स्पीच, इट्स अ फिगर ऑफ स्पीच, यानी बहुत सारे फिगर्स ऑफ स्पीच हैं, उनमें से एक ये भी है सिमिली, और इम्पॉर्टेंट है। मोस्टली पोइट्स यूज दिस स्पीच, दिस फिगर ऑफ स्पीच इन देयर पोइट्री। क्या है? Refers to is a figure of speech in which comparison means comparison. Normally we are confused with the comparison. Comparison is not only seeing the difference. Comparison also means seeing the difference between the similarity. Difference between the similarity is also called comparison. We have understood it wrongly that comparison means seeing the differences differently. No, it's actually seeing the similarity in difference. This is what it means simile at all. अच्छा, in which a comparison is made. Comparison, दो चीज़ों का मुवाजना किया जाता है, दो चीज़ों को कंपेयर किया जाता है, दो चीज़ों को सामने रूबरू लाया जाता है, तो उनमें क्या देखा जाता है? मेड बिटवीन मीन्स देयर द डिफरेंस इज मेड और देयर द सिमिलैरिटी इज मेड, मीन्स सेमनेस देखी जाती है दो चीज़ों में, मुख्तलिफ दो चीज़ों में, दो चीज़ें जो मुख्तलिफ हैं, मतलब कोई एक चीज़ किसी एक स्पीशी से बिलोंग करता हो, कोई दूसरी चीज़ जो किसी दूसरी ज़ात से बिलोंग करता हो, और दो इन दो ज़ातों में क्या करते हैं? इन दो ज़ातों में सिमिलरिटी देखते हैं, तो इसको पॉइंट कहते हैं। ये उसने आसान कर दिया समझाने में और इनको सिमिलराइज कर दिया, यानी किसी एक चीज़ को समझाने के लिए किसी दूसरी चीज़ जैसी उसी जैसी किसी दूसरी चीज़ मुख्तलिफ जो हो से, तो उसमें जो सिमिलरिटी है इस जैसी, तो उनको मिलाया जाता है, तो उस चीज़ को कहते हैं सिमिली। तो बाय द वर्ड, किस चीज़ से ये सिमिली दिखती है? व्हाट आर द वर्ड्स that actually help us to understand that a particular figure is a simile, figure of speech is simile. It's actually like or as, like or as में प्रॉब्लम इसमें इनवर्सली आता है। My mind goes, it will take time to get it set, तो मैं इसी काम चलाऊँ, दूसरी लेक्चर में इंशाल्लाह सही करनी। तो क्या है? बिटवीन टू थिंग्स यूज्ड बाय, यानी दो चीज़ों को जब मिलाते हैं उनको लाइक और एज से अगर मिलाएं तो दिस इज कॉल्ड सिमिली, मतलब इस टेक्निक को सिमिली कहते हैं। तो क्या एग्जाम्पल के तौर पे हम समझा सकते हैं कैसे सिमिलाइज करते हैं? एग्जाम्पल इसने दी हुई है, आई वंडर्ड लोनली एज अ क्लाउड। ये भी वर्ड्सवर्थ की एक पोएम है और नेम है डैफोडिल्स, और इस डैफोडिल्स में ये पोइट कंपेयर करता है दो चीज़ों, आई वंडर्ड, ये आई एज अ पोइट, एज अ मैन, वर्ड्सवर्थ सेज आई वंडर्ड लाइकली एज अ क्लाउड। ही इज कंपेयर्ड हिमसेल्फ विद द क्लाउड्स, wandering with the clouds. There is actually similarity between him and the clouds, and that similarity is wandering. यानी दो मुख्तलिफ चीज़ें कहीं, एक वर्ड्सवर्थ है, एक बादल है, और बादल और वर्ड्सवर्थ में क्या कॉमन है? दोनों क्या करते हैं? दोनों एमलेसली मूव करते हैं, यानी कोई क्या कहते हैं इसको, कोई ठिकाना नहीं है, कोई पर्टिकुलर स्पेसिफिक गोल नहीं है, आते हैं जाते हैं, दर बदर जिसको कहते हैं। बादल, आवारा बादल और आवारा वर्ड्सवर्थ मीन्स द पॉइंट। ही सेज मैं और बादल एक जैसे हैं, क्यों? क्योंकि उसका भी कोई ठिकाना, एक तरफ से आता है, आते हैं बादल, दूसरी तरफ चले जाते हैं। इसी तरह मैं भी, मेरी जिंदगी का कोई वो स्पेसिफिक टारगेट नहीं है। आई कम एंड गो, देयर इज ऑलवेज कम एंड गो। यानी मैं आता हूँ और चला जाता हूँ। एंड बादल भी आते हैं चले जाते हैं, ये वो बादल हैं जो बारिशें नहीं बरसाते हैं। दे डोंट शड द रैन okay, they don't shed even the drop of the rain, they are only just for show. They, man feels there are clouds in the sky, but these clouds are just hindering the sunlight, nothing else. They don't function as the clouds, as like the clouds. And similarly, Wordsworth says, I am in the same way wandering, moving aimlessly. There is no aim in my life. I don't go to my specific target. I come and go. I wander. मैं दर बदर फिरता हूँ, किनकी तरह, जो जैसे बादल दर बदर फिरते हैं, आते हैं और जाते हैं। हमेशा बादल दर बदर नहीं फिरते हैं, कभी कभार बादल आ जाते हैं, हवाएं उनके साथ चलती है तो वो चले जाते हैं। तो ये मतलब इसका यही है। तो एक और एग्जांपल, आसान सी एग्जांपल आपको समझाने के लिए, ये तो वर्ड्सवर्थ का है, मगर मैं इससे भी आसान आपको समझा सकता हूँ। वो कैसे? फॉर एग्जांपल, सिमिली, ही इज लाइक लाइंग इन द बैटल। ही इज लाइक लाइंग, बोर्ड पे चूंकि प्रॉब्लम है, अगर आपको ही इज लाइक a lion in the battlefield. He is like a lion in the battlefield. लड़ाई में वो शेर की तरह है। मीन्स शेर की क्या खासियत है? शेर क्या करता है लड़ाई में? जब लड़ता है तो पीछे मुड़ता नहीं है, तो अपने शिकार को जब तक अंजाम तक नहीं पहुंचाता तब तक उसको छोड़ता नहीं। मीन्स शेर की क्वालिटी, उसकी बहादुरी, उसकी ताकत से लगाया जाता है। इसी तरह when he says he is like, वो भी शेर की तरह लड़ना जानता है। मतलब शेर जैसी उसकी शक्ल नहीं है, शेर की तरह वो एनिमल नहीं है, जानवर नहीं है, लेकिन शेर की एक क्वालिटी उसमें भी है। वो क्या है? वो भी जब लड़ता है तो वो दहाड़ता है, लड़ना जानता है। तो ये है, दिस इज एक्चुअली सिमिल। Inshallah, in the next lecture we'll be talking rest of the figures of speech. चूंकि हमारे ये वीडियोस अपलोड नहीं होते हैं, it takes much time to get uploaded on YouTube. तो inshallah in coming lecture we'll be talking about the क्या कहते हैं इसको, rest of the figures of speech. Thank you very much.